Hi and welcome to today's reading. I apologise straight off that the camera seems a little bit wonky. I'm really sorry. I'm using my son's little tripod thing and I can't quite get it level for some reason. But anyhow, if it's bothering you, if it's making you feel seasick, maybe just close your eyes and listen instead. Okay, so with all my readings, I'll tell you how the messages come through to me. So they come through either as snippets of conversation, individual words or phrases, or sometimes images, and I always make a note of them in the order that they come through. I try and sort of interpret it as I go along. It might be that you have your own interpretation of some of the things I say, and that's absolutely great. If you want to pop a note in the comments as to how you've interpreted something that I've shared, that's brilliant, because then, you know, it helps other people to interpret it in a way that is relevant to them as well. So we'll make a start. The first message that I got coming through was a very clear voice saying, you need to take a break. So I got the impression straight away that this break that you need, the thing that you need to take a break from, is overthinking. It feels like there's an anxiety there, a worry about things that maybe need some action in the future, or something that's coming up in the future, but you're worrying about it now, and it's just sort of you're all engrossed in it. And what it's doing is it's stopping you from living in the present moment and stopping you from enjoying the time that you're doing, or focusing on whatever it is that you need to be focusing on at any given time. So in any sort of situation like this where I'm starting to see myself overthinking, there's a couple of things that have really helped me in the past. The first thing is Eckhart Tolle. If any of you are fans of him, you know, thumbs up, because his work's just brilliant. So he says, if you have a worry about something right now, if you've got the time to do something about it right now, if there is action you can take right now to alleviate that worry, do it. If you don't, set aside a time when you can take some action to do that thing. And in the meantime, just focus on the present. Okay, sometimes things have a habit of working themselves out in the meantime as well, so that the worry is needless in the end anyway. Okay, the other thing, and this is a technique that I came across when I've been recovering from an illness. So this is all about reprogramming your brain. And I'm also going to do another video just about this technique. So I'll put a link to that in the description box. So this technique is to rewire your brain to recognize when you don't want to go down a certain negative thought spiral, if that makes sense. So say, for example, and in this case, I'll give you my example. It was my health. I was worrying about my health and about recovery. So that the exercise to do to help you to rewire that is to get a piece of paper and a pen, just a small one, like a post-it note size thing would be perfect, and a little IKEA size pencil. That's what I did. So get a little piece of paper and a pencil and keep it with you all day for 3 days. And every time you notice that you are starting to think a negative thought, just put a little tally, you know, a little 5-bar gate sort of thing. And just in doing that action, it stops you from thinking about it. Now, what I found is that I'd think about something, put a tally, and then a few minutes later I was thinking about it again. And so, yeah, you'd put the marks. Now, this isn't a quick fix thing. It's not easy, but it is a very simple tool. You need to get so as you are making at least 100 little tallies a day to rewire that part of your brain. And what happens is you start to stop thinking about it. So the time in between each of those times you think about that particular thing gets longer and longer. So for me, it was sort of like every couple of minutes I was thinking about the same thing, about my health and worrying about recovery. And as I carried on doing this exercise, the longer those gaps got between it, until I wasn't worrying anymore. And that actually aided my recovery and helped me to recover faster from the illness I was dealing with. So that's a little bit of something. And I will put a link to that, a more in-depth way of doing that, in the description notes. So back to what I was saying, it's time to pull back is the next message that I'm getting. It's a time to pull back, to any sort of healing routines that you have, because I also get the impression, as well as all of this overthinking, there has been a lot of doing, a lot of, being here, needing to do this, and just needing to focus on exercising, eating well, and it's all got a little bit too much. So the message is to pull back and pull back to anything that you've used before that has been a healing routine. So really simple things like getting enough sleep, having an early night, making sure you eat well, but not being like really anal about it and, sticking to a certain diet plan or something. Be flexible with it, but just really, watch what you're eating. Those little things that have worked for you in the past. Things for me that work are journaling. I always come back to that. It helps me mind fart everything that I'm worrying about at the end of the day onto paper so I can settle down to sleep. I always finish my journaling with gratitude as well. That's a practice. So it helps you get rid of all that negative stuff and then you focus on the positive things. So that's really nice. So anything that works for you, you're being called to pull back to it. And just really take it easy on yourself, give yourself some self-compassion, some kindness. Maybe just say no to people if you need to take a break. Don't be afraid to say no. Okay, now the image that came alongside that was really lovely. It was an image, a bit of a cartoon image, not real life, because when I say what it is, might be a bit frightening, but it was a bear, and it was a baby bear that was obviously in some sort of distress, and the mum bear came into the scene, and this is all an image in my head, came into the scene and just pulled the bear close and just wrapped her arm around it, and you could see the tension that was in this baby bear's shoulders just drop, and you could see it come into an easeful state. So that was a really lovely message. So I think the message coming through there is that you are safe and you are held, and that is by something bigger than ourselves. There is something out there that's watching out for you, whether that be spirit, whether that be ancestors of some kind. But also, I'm getting the feeling that there is someone in your life that can be that mother bear to you as well. So if you've got someone trusted that you can share whatever worry it is, whatever anxiety that you've got going on, that you're trying to stop these negative thought spirals with, get in touch with that person. Let them hold you, whether that's, physically give you a hug or just listen. Because even just that simple sharing lightens the load, doesn't it? Okay. Now, the next set of messages that came through are about a different subject, but I do feel like it's also tied into what we've just been talking about. So this was a very clear phrase that came into my head, and it was, you have a gift. And I'm getting the feeling that it's either something artistic or an ability that you have. So you have a gift that, I want to say, it needs sharing. It needs sharing with the world. For whatever reason, you've got this gift that needs to be shared. But there's a reluctance there, and I feel like it's a fear of being criticised. And it might be that that's what you've had before in the past. And, I've lost my thread a little bit. Let me just get back to it. Oh, right. So yeah, the reason why you're scared of sharing it is because it's not mainstream. It's something that you have a different way of doing things, a different way of presenting things that's not the norm. So you're a bit worried about how it's going to be received. Maybe this is what the worry is about, actually, about, stepping into this. Okay, right, see what I mean? Sometimes these insights come as I'm actually talking. So you have a gift. Now, that after I'd got that gift, I then got the word, and hello, any Lord of the Rings fans out there. I got the word Isengard in my head, and if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, I'll explain the image that came into my head. It was of Gandalf the wizard being banished by Saruman onto the top of the Tower of Isengard, and he's in, it's just a circular platform with nowhere to go. There's no way out. He's just on this platform on the top of this really high tower. And to me, that just says total vulnerability. So I think that's what the fear is. It's a vulnerability of sharing this that you have to give, this gift that you have to give the world, because of this fear of criticism, of it not being well received. But then, and this is really lovely, there is this really soft elven voice, and to me it came through in a lovely soft Scottish accent, and it was a woman, and it just said, everything's going to be all right. And then I remembered that the way that Gandalf gets off the top of that tower, when it seems like there's no way out. He catches a moth and sends a message out with this moth, and then gets rescued by an eagle. And what that means to me is that sometimes it feels like there is no way of doing something, but there is always a way. And that is something my dad's taught me. There is always a way. No matter how improbable something seems, there is always a way. Oh, it's making me fill up, is that? It's so nice that something that's come from my dad has come through in one of my messages. So yeah, and then what happens then is I feel, and this came through as a voice as well, actually, and I'll say it was an image of someone either being on a game show or watching a game show on TV, and them going, oh, I know this one, and I know when I've seen this vision that they've got everything else wrong and they've not been able to figure out any of the other answers to anything. So I think that ties in really nicely with what I was just saying about the way that Gandalf escaped off this roof and there always being another way. It's like, I've got it, I've figured it out. So it feels like you're going to figure out a way of doing things that works for you to make it feel like you can share this gift with the world, if that makes sense. Please share your stories in the comments, because I'd like to see if this resonates and how it resonates for you. Because sometimes my messages come through so randomly that I'm just hoping to make some sort of sense to people. Okay. So yeah, I think that's it for the messages today. So I'll just give a little bit of a summary. I don't normally do this, but it's to stop overthinking, stop worrying, really be confident in the gift that you have. This is what I want to say as well. So to everyone else, your gift is unusual. It's different. It's not what they're used to, but that's what makes it unique. And uniqueness is never a bad thing. It might be that you're the only person that is able to share this particular gift. Oh, I'm going to end on that because that's nice. That's a nice little summary for the end. So as always, please like and subscribe, share your comments, share your stories. It'd be lovely to hear from you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.